Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. Today I want to give you some tips on buying fruit trees. I'm looking to redesign some of my space, and buying fruit trees can be a little bit confusing. A couple of things you want to keep in mind. Fall is a great time to plant. Get them in the ground, let the root systems establish. They don't have to deal with heat and drought, and they'll be ready to go come next spring. So when you buy trees, you have to pay attention to their needs. Most likely, not a guarantee, because some places just sell stuff to get your money, you're going to have trees sold in your area that are fit for your area. But you do want to pay attention to making sure that type of tree can, live year-round in your area. Like for instance, this is an apple tree. It needs chill hours, and I want to explain that first so that it makes sense to people. So you can't really grow apple trees in Florida because they're not going to get the 20, 40, 60 chill hours. Each variety of fruit tree may need different number of chill hours. I'm in Maryland Zone 7. I get plenty of chill hours for all the fruit trees that need that. What does that mean? So when the temperatures fall between 35 degrees Fahrenheit and 55 degrees Fahrenheit, that is considered one chill hour. If the temperatures fall below 35, get into the freezing temperatures, maybe 30 degrees Fahrenheit or less, that does not count as a chill hour. It has to be in that range of 35 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit in general. So I get plenty of that. Starting in November, December, January, February, March, trees get the chill hours they need. And that kind of just puts them through a stage where they go through blooming and producing fruit. Then they get their chill hours, they can relax, get their strength back, and then they rebloom and do their thing again come spring. So you want to make sure you have enough chill hours. The other thing that I actually, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm on Instagram under the Rusted Garden, did a quick 1-minute video summarizing all this. And people were saying, but those trees aren't organic. And this is where I kind of get on my soapbox. You don't need a stamp on your seeds, on your plants, on your fruit trees that say organic. All right, you can't really have a non-organic plant. When you buy this, the organic piece comes from how you care for it in your ground. If you're just giving it chemical fertilizers and you're spraying it with, really powerful chemical sprays to control fungus and disease, it's no longer organic. If you take care of the plant at the root level, fertilizers, all that, treated organically, sprayed organically, you're going to have an organic fruit tree. You don't need a stamp. You can't buy a problematic fruit tree. There are no GMOs or anything like that that you're ever going to purchase or get. So don't spend extra money or don't go hunting for an organic tree unless you really want to. But I'm telling you, it's not the tree itself, it's how you maintain it as a gardener. All right, so in this space, these trees are only going to get 8 to 10 feet tall. All fruit trees can be dwarf trees. So you could have, for instance, a Red Delicious on a full-size tree, semi-determinate dwarf, based on how they take a cutting. They just take a cutting off of the tree and they graft it to a rootstock that's going to constrain the growth and keep it smaller. So the first thing you want to do is decide what size tree you want. This one's going to get 8 to 10 feet tall. You can also control size by pruning it down. So if you have a semi-determinate kind of get, or semi-dwarf, let me rephrase that. You have the dwarf trees, you have semi-dwarf, and then you have standard. So the semi-dwarf gets somewhere between like 15 and 25 feet tall, wide. You can control that. There's another butterfly coming in off the grapes. You can control that by pruning it or buying it on dwarf stock. When you buy dwarf stock, you're going to see right here is the cutting where my thumb is upward. That's what's going to grow the specific type of fruit you want. This is the rootstock from here down. You want to make sure you don't bury the plant over the rootstock or new roots are going to grow out of here and the tree is no longer going to be dwarf. It's staying dwarf because of the rootstock. This is a Cortland. The other thing you want to look, and it says somewhere usually on the tags, this one needs a pollinator. So sometimes trees will be self-pollinating, fruit trees will be self-pollinating. Sometimes they need another variety to pollinate and just have a better production of fruit. So that was a dwarf stock. This is a Macintosh. And this one is dwarf too. You're going to see, well, let's see if we can get it, 8 to 10 feet. And this requires another pollinator. So different variety here, Macintosh, that's the Cortland. I have 2 different trees. That's going to help with pollination. They want at least 6 hours of sun. 8 hours is better. Let's see what we have over here, because one of these are semi-dwarf. This is a Honeycrisp, another 8 to 10 feet. So I have, 8 to 10 feet. So I have another variety mixed in there. So pollination should be just wonderful. This is a peach tree. Let's see if I can get in here easily. And this one says dwarf, peach right up top, but it's going to get 15 to 25 feet. This is more of a semi-dwarf, and you could again prune that back. Those are the keys that you're looking for. Again, here is the root. It's spliced right there, grafted right there, and then this is the fruit tree. So you could have, you know, this variety is the Alberta. You could have an Alberta tree that maybe gets 20 plus feet tall, maybe 15 feet tall, maybe stays 8 to 10 feet tall. It's really based on the rootstock. This is not genetic modification, not GMO. This is just good old practice that's been done for, you know, hundreds of years. And it's a skill, you know. So the dwarf trees are really designed so that you can drop them in a space like this, 8 to 10 feet tall. My sun's still going to fall into my herb, raspberries, blackberries. Not going to have massive trees, and I'm going to be able to get fruit out of them. Those are the main keys, I think, when you're going to buy fruit trees that you want to look for. The final thing is, I like to buy the trees in a container. That means I have root systems that have grown into the soil. They're a little bit more expensive. This is probably a 1 or 2 year old tree. It's already about 6 feet tall. You can get them up to 3 years old or even older, and you're going to pay somewhere between, if you're going to a store, $35 to maybe $90 for a tree. I really think it's worth the extra money than buying the bare rootstocks. You can order trees that are maybe this tall, you know, right to here, much thinner, maybe a year old, and they come with a bare root kind of wrapped in something to keep that root moist, and then you have to plant them into there. I don't want to wait around. You know, it's cheaper. You may have to do that if you're on a budget, but if you have the extra money or you have the budget, I like to buy my trees this way. And these probably, well, I know, not probably, these came from Lowe's and Home Depot, and their trees have been really good. I have them all over my property. I've only lost a couple, but it's really worth putting fruit trees into your garden. And again, right in this space, I'm going to have 3 or 4 fruit trees, 8 to 10 feet tall. I've learned how to prune. I'll be doing that a lot next year, and I'll be able to just kind of walk down here, pick apples and pick peaches, which is pretty cool. If you have any questions, please leave me the question in a comment. I will get to that. Thanks so much for watching. Give fruit trees a try, and remember, you can buy the dwarf varieties, 8 to 10 feet tall, and really pop them anywhere into your garden. Thanks for watching, and please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com.